The journey of a leader is not a path that begins on the day a title is granted or an office is occupied. Rather, it is the culmination of every thought, every action, and every word spoken throughout a lifetime. It is as if the universe has been quietly preparing the individual for this specific moment of influence. In the grand tapestry of human endeavor, leadership manifests in 1,000 different forms, from the quiet corridors of a family home in the American continent to the high-stakes boardrooms of a multinational corporation in Europe. It is found in the volunteer who organizes a community garden at dusk, the coach who inspires a group of children on a dusty field in Latin America, and the visionary who launches a startup from a small room in the home region. The essence of leadership is universal, transcending the scale of the task or the prestige of the position. It is the art of inspiring, organizing, and motivating others toward a common goal, a skill that is as relevant to a parent as it is to a global executive. As the sun rises over cities across the globe, the need for exceptional leadership has never been more apparent. In every corner of society, there are struggles that cry out for guidance. Governments in various regions find themselves searching for a clear focus, sometimes failing to lead not only their nations, but their own internal structures. In the private sector, companies of all sizes are buffeted by the winds of competition and complexity, their management teams often gasping for air as they strive for results that remain just out of reach. Even in the world of sports, where the scoreboard offers a brutal honesty, the lack of consistency leads to a revolving door of coaches and mentors. The public sector, too, faces its own trials, with systems under pressure and resources stretched to their limits. From the pews of a local church to the inner sanctum of a family unit, the ripples of weak leadership are felt as discord and missed potential. When one pauses to reflect on the image of a successful leader, who emerges from the fog of memory and imagination? Perhaps it is a figure of global renown, someone whose name is synonymous with innovation and bold ventures. Or perhaps it is someone closer to home, a former teacher who saw potential where others saw none, a supervisor who offered a steady hand during a crisis, or a partner whose quiet strength kept a household together during difficult times. These individuals, regardless of their fame, share a common thread. They represent a standard of excellence that others are drawn to. They are the benchmarks by which we measure our own progress. The aspiration to become such a leader is a noble one, requiring a deep dive into the habits, mindsets, and behaviors that separate the exceptional from the merely competent. There is a world waiting for those who are willing to transform themselves into the best leaders they can be. This transformation is not about acquiring power, but about developing a suite of tools that have often remained underutilized. Many people carry within them the seeds of greatness, but allow them to be choked by weaknesses they refuse to acknowledge or by a lack of clarity in their purpose. To embark on this narrative is to choose a path of self-reflection and growth. It is an invitation to consider how one wants to be remembered by those they have led. In the chapters of a leader's life, there are pieces that must be meticulously fitted together: self-leadership, the understanding of motivations, the adoption of effective styles, and the ability to communicate with such clarity that others cannot help but follow. Imagine the leader standing at the threshold of a new era, armed with the wisdom gathered from 1,000 different experiences across the American continent and beyond. They are ready to explore what it means to lead through change, to create new leaders in their wake, and to manage the inevitable challenges that come with the territory. This story is not just about a career, it is about the legacy of a life lived with intention. As we begin this exploration, let us consider a fundamental truth that serves as our starting point: the idea that leadership is the pursuit of doing the right things in the most impeccable way possible. It is a quest for excellence that begins with a single, profound realization about the nature of work and the direction of effort. This realization, like a hidden spark, is what will light the way forward into the heart of what it truly means to lead. The struggle of modern leadership is not found in a lack of effort, but often in a profound misdirection of energy. There is a quiet tragedy unfolding in offices across the American continent and in the boardrooms of Europe. The spectacle of talented individuals working themselves to exhaustion on the wrong things. The leader observes this phenomenon with a mixture of concern and a desire for correction. It is the metaphor of the hole in the ground, a simple image that carries the weight of a profound truth. There is no merit in digging a hole with surgical precision and perfect geometry if it is located in the wrong place. Likewise, there is no value in identifying the perfect spot for a foundation only to dig a shallow, crumbling, and poorly constructed hole. These two errors represent the dual failure of many modern teams: the pursuit of perfection in the trivial and the neglect of the essential. In the home region, one might find a dedicated professional spending 10 hours crafting a spreadsheet of breathtaking complexity with shimmering charts and flawless formulas, only to realize that the fundamental premise of the project was misunderstood from the beginning. The work is beautiful, but it is useless. On the other side of the spectrum, a leader might witness a team member who is handed a golden opportunity, a chance to present a vision to the highest levels of administration in a major city in Latin America, only to arrive unprepared, with a presentation that is disorganized and lacking in depth. In both cases, the result is the same: a profound waste of potential. The tension lies in this gap between activity and achievement. A leader must realize that being busy is not the same as being effective. The central conflict of the role is to bridge this gap, ensuring that every ounce of energy spent by the team is directed toward a meaningful and high-quality outcome. This tension creates an internal struggle for the leader. How does one demand excellence without becoming a tyrant? How does one ensure focus without stifling creativity? The answer lies in the understanding that leadership is fundamentally about doing the right things in the right way. It is a balancing act of the highest order. The leader must be the guardian of the what and the how. When a team begins to drift, focusing on the peripheral rather than the core, the leader's voice must be the one that brings them back to center. They must see the landscape from a higher vantage point, identifying where the holes need to be dug before the first shovel ever touches the earth. Without this clarity, the team is merely spinning its wheels, burning through resources and morale without moving the needle toward success. As the narrative of the modern workplace unfolds, the cost of these missteps becomes clearer. It is measured in lost time, depleted budgets, and the subtle erosion of a team's spirit. When people feel that their hard work has gone to waste because it was directed at the wrong target, something inside them begins to dim. The enthusiasm they brought to the task on Monday is replaced by a weary cynicism by Friday. The leader understands that their primary duty is to protect the team from this futility. By demanding excellence, not just in the quality of the work, but in the selection of the work itself, the leader provides a framework where effort is transformed into impact. This is the first major development in the journey toward mastery, the realization that excellence is a strategic choice, a decision to refuse the mediocre and the unnecessary in favor of what truly matters. This shift in perspective requires a move away from the frantic pace of the to-do list and toward the considered pace of the priority list. It requires the courage to stop a project that is going nowhere, even if a lot of work has already been put into it. It requires the wisdom to invest more time in the planning phase, ensuring that the direction is correct before the execution begins. In the home region and beyond, the most successful leaders are those who have mastered this art of discernment. They do not just drive their teams to work harder, they guide them to work smarter. They recognize that excellence is not a destination that one reaches by accident, but a standard that must be upheld in every conversation, every meeting, and every decision. The path forward is paved with this commitment to doing the right things and doing them exceptionally well. As the narrative deepens, we find ourselves exploring the emotional and intellectual terrain of the high-performing team. Excellence, as the leader comes to understand, is not an act, but a habit, and a habit that must be nurtured with precision. The world is full of examples of missed marks that carry heavy emotional tolls. Imagine a team in an office in England working late into the night to prepare a solution for a prestigious client. They present their work with the utmost professionalism, only to find the room going cold. The client quietly mentions that they had actually requested information on a completely different product line. In that moment, the air leaves the room. The professional polish of the presentation cannot mask the fundamental failure of understanding. This is the heartbreak of the leader, seeing the dedication of a team dissolve because the target was never truly identified. These scenes of misalignment are more than just business failures. They are symptoms of a deeper lack of direction. In the American continent, a leader might witness a young, promising employee who is given the chance of a lifetime to present their ideas to the senior executive board. But because the expectations were never clearly defined and the standard of excellence never explicitly set, the presentation falls flat. It is a moment of public embarrassment that could have been avoided with the right guidance. The leader feels the weight of this responsibility. They realize that their role is to be the filter through which all tasks pass, ensuring that nothing is done desultorily and nothing is wasted on the irrelevant. This is the emotional subtext of leadership, the desire to protect one's people from the pain of unproductive labor. To bridge this gap, the leader must become a student of the 6 boxes of Gilbert, a thematic structure that provides a roadmap to excellence. The first requirement is the clarity of information. In many organizations in the home region, communication is treated as a casual byproduct of proximity. People assume that because they sit in the same room, they understand each other, but the leader knows better. They understand that for a team to excel, every role, every responsibility, and every instruction must be crystallized, preferably in writing. There must be a constant flow of feedback, both the formal reviews that look back at the quarter and the informal conversations that happen over coffee. Without this information, the team is flying blind, and even the greatest effort will eventually veer off course. Furthermore, the leader must look at the tools and resources provided to the team. It is a subtle form of disrespect to ask for excellence while providing mediocre tools. Whether it is a faster computer for a designer in Latin America or better software for a financial analyst in Europe, the leader understands that the quality of the output is often limited by the quality of the input. Resources are not just physical objects, they are expressions of the organization's commitment to the team's success. When a leader fights for the budget to give their people what they need, they are building a bridge of trust. They are saying, "I expect greatness from you, and I will give you everything you need to achieve it." This is where the narrative momentum begins to build, as the team feels the wind of support at their backs. This intellectual progression leads to a crucial insight. Excellence is a partnership. It is not something a leader can demand from a distance. It is something they must facilitate from within. The tension in the narrative shifts from the struggle of the individual to the collective effort of the group. As the leader begins to implement these structures, information, feedback, tools, and resources, the atmosphere begins to change. The sense of confusion is replaced by a sense of mission. But even with the right tools and the right information, there is still the question of the human spirit. What drives someone to go beyond the call of duty? What makes them care about the how as much as the what? This rising tension leads us to the heart of the leadership challenge, where the technical meets the emotional, and the true turning point of the story begins to emerge. The narrative of leadership reaches a critical turning point when the leader moves from the role of a supervisor to that of a master architect of performance. This is the climax of the leadership journey, the moment when the realization hits that excellence is not a random occurrence, but a systemic requirement. In a pivotal scene that could take place in any high-stakes environment in the American continent or England, the leader chooses to stop accepting good enough as a standard. They recognize that to achieve truly great things, they must go beyond merely giving orders. They must provide a foundation so solid that failure becomes an anomaly rather than a frequent visitor. This is where the conceptual framework of the 6 boxes comes into play, acting as a revolutionary tool that redefines how a leader interacts with their team and their goals. At this climax, the leader understands that the first box they must open is the box of information and feedback. It is a moment of clarity where they see that vague instructions lead to vague results. They commit to providing everything in writing, roles, responsibilities, and the why behind the what. They realize that their team members are not mind readers. They need formal and informal feedback to navigate the complexities of their tasks. This revelation changes the atmosphere of the workplace. No longer are employees wandering in the dark, guessing at what success looks like. The light of clear information illuminates the path, and the tension of uncertainty begins to dissipate. This is the first step in a dramatic transformation of the team's trajectory. Next, the leader turns their attention to the box of tools and resources. In a moment of intense focus, they look around and see the physical and digital hurdles that have been slowing their people down. It might be a computer that freezes every hour in a creative agency in Spain, or a lack of specialized software in a logistics hub in Latin America. The realization is simple but profound. You cannot expect a masterwork from an artist with a broken brush. By providing the best possible tools, the leader is not just making the work easier, they are sending a powerful signal that the work itself is valued.
This commitment to resourcefulness becomes a turning point as the team feels supported and equipped to reach for heights that were previously out of reach. The revelation continues as the leader explores the box of incentives. They see that human effort thrives on recognition and reward. It isn't just about the paycheck, it's about the visible connection between a job well done and a positive consequence. By establishing clear rewards for exceeding expectations and meeting key performance indicators, the leader creates a culture of meritocracy. This is a dramatic shift from the standard environment, where the hardest workers and the least engaged are treated exactly the same. The air in the office changes. There is a new sense of purpose, a drive to not just meet the bar, but to clear it by a wide margin. This alignment of individual goals with organizational success is the engine that drives the team forward. Finally, the leader addresses the final three boxes: skills, capacity, and motivation. They realize that training is useless if it's not applied, and that even the most skilled worker will break under a workload that exceeds their capacity. They take a hard look at the volume of tasks being handed out, ensuring that no one is being crushed by the weight of expectations. And most importantly, they look at the heart of the team, their motivation. Do they like coming to work? Do they feel a sense of commitment? This climax of understanding allows the leader to see their team not as a collection of assets, but as a living system that requires balance, support, and inspiration. This is the turning point where the leader stops just managing and starts truly leading, creating an environment where excellence is the natural, inevitable outcome of a well-supported journey. The transition into a new state of clarity is complete.
In the aftermath of this conceptual revolution, a new landscape begins to emerge. The leader watches as the once frenetic energy of the office transforms into a focused, rhythmic pulse. The consequences of demanding excellence and supporting it through the 6 pillars are visible in the very posture of the team. In a major city in the American continent, a manager sees their employees arriving not with the heavy sigh of the overburdened, but with the quiet confidence of those who know exactly what is expected of them and possess the means to deliver it. The quiet aftermath of the shift toward excellence is a sense of peace. The chaos of caving the wrong hole has been replaced by the steady progress of a foundation being built in the right place, one brick at a time, with craftsmanship and care. One of the most profound internal transformations occurs within the leader themselves. They find that by being more rigorous in the setup of a task, they have more freedom in its execution. They no longer feel the need to micromanage every detail because the information and skills boxes have been filled. There is a newfound trust that permeates the relationship between the leader and the led. In the home region, this might manifest as a leader who finally has the time to think strategically about the future rather than putting out fires in the present. They have realized that the best way to control the outcome is to empower the process. This internal settling is the mark of a leader who has matured, moving from a place of anxiety-driven oversight to a place of confidence-driven guidance. For the team, the aftermath is equally transformative. They begin to see themselves differently. They are no longer just cogs in a machine, performing tasks that may or may not matter. They are now artisans of their craft, working within a system that values their contribution enough to reward it and respects their time enough to focus it. In a tech firm in Europe or a manufacturing plant in Latin America, the results are the same: higher quality output and a significant reduction in waste. The psychological weight of doing bad work is lifted. There is a profound dignity that comes with being part of an excellent team, and this dignity becomes the fuel for future success. The transformation is both external, seen in the KPIs and the bottom line, and internal, felt in the morale and commitment of every individual. As the narrative moves toward its resolution, the leader reflects on the lesson that excellence is not a one-time event, but a continuous commitment. It requires constant maintenance of the 6 boxes. Feedback must remain frequent, tools must be updated, and motivation must be nurtured. In the American continent, a leader might find that an incentive that worked last year no longer resonates today, requiring a fresh approach. They learn that the capacity of the team is a fluid thing, shifting with the seasons and the complexity of the projects. This realization that leadership is a dynamic, living process is the final piece of the puzzle. It is the understanding that the quest for excellence is a journey without a final destination, but with many rewarding milestones along the way. The resolution of this part of the leadership journey is a state of harmonious productivity. The leader has learned to distinguish between the busy work that produces nothing and the right work that produces everything.
They have seen the power of clear communication and the impact of proper resourcing. As the dust settles from the changes they have implemented, they look out over their team and see a group of people who are not just working, but thriving. The struggle of the wrong whole is a distant memory, replaced by the reality of a project that is being done the right way for the right reasons. This is the aftermath of excellence, a world where effort is honored by results and where leadership is the bridge that makes it all possible. The story now moves toward its final, reflective conclusion.
To lead with a demand for excellence is to embrace a philosophy that transcends the boundaries of the workplace and enters the realm of character. In the final reflection on this journey, it becomes clear that the essence of leadership is not found in the grand gestures or the loud commands, but in the quiet, persistent commitment to doing the right things and doing them well. This is the closing insight, that a leader's greatest legacy is not a project completed or a target met, but the standard of quality they leave behind in the hearts and minds of those they guided. Whether in the American continent, Europe, or the home region, the mark of a successful leader is the culture of excellence that continues to flourish even when they are no longer in the room. Leadership, at its core, is a deeply human endeavor. It is about recognizing the potential in others and providing the structure they need to realize it. The 6 boxes are more than just a management tool. They are a manifesto for how we should treat one another in the pursuit of a common goal. They remind us that people need clarity to succeed, tools to perform, and rewards to feel valued. They remind us that skills must be nurtured and that capacity has its limits. By honoring these truths, the leader creates a space where human potential can truly bloom. This is the broader meaning of the journey, that excellence is the highest form of respect we can show for the work we do and the people we do it with. As we conclude this narrative, let us contemplate the image of the leader as a steady hand in a world of constant change. In an era where many are distracted by the trivial and overwhelmed by the unnecessary, the leader who demands excellence is a beacon of focus. They are the ones who ask the difficult questions. Are we digging in the right place? Are we digging the best hole we can? By insisting on these 2 conditions, they protect their teams from the futility of wasted effort and guide them toward the satisfaction of meaningful achievement. This is the quiet power of leadership, the ability to transform a chaotic collection of efforts into a singular, powerful force for good. Let the listener carry away this final thought. Your life as a leader is a work in progress, a series of choices that define who you are and what you stand for. Every time you choose clarity over ambiguity, every time you choose quality over speed, and every time you choose to support your team rather than just drive them, you are building your own legacy of excellence. You are becoming the leader that others will admire, the one who inspires the next generation of visionaries in Latin America, England, and beyond. The journey toward excellence is not a short sprint, but a lifelong walk, and every step taken with intention is a victory in itself. In the end, the story of leadership is a story of hope. It is the hope that through our efforts, we can create something better than what we found. It is the hope that by doing the right things the right way, we can leave a lasting impact on our communities and our world. As the narrative closes, the leader stands at the window, looking out at the world with a sense of calm and purpose. They know that the path ahead will have its challenges, but they also know they have the tools to meet them. They have learned to demand excellence, first of themselves and then of those they lead. And in that demand, they have found the secret to a life and a career of true success. The story ends here, but the legacy of excellence is just beginning.